So I have the bills. Where's the letter from Michael?
How long does it take?
Oh, it should be there now.
Gave it to us already.
Yes, but where's
4 or
my,
5
oh, here it
minutes,
is,
you know,
my
yeah.
copy. Okay.
Where is it? Come on, come on, come on, come on. Momentarily, actually.
You ready, Phil? Call a meeting of the North Reading School Committee to order, our first summer meeting. First item on the agenda, public input. Seeing no members of the public, we'll move to our next agenda item, which is the student report. Seeing no student, we'll move to our next agenda. What we're going to do here now is go a little bit out of order, and we are going to have presentations of the middle school and high school improvement plans by Principal John Bernard and Principal Kathy O'Connell.
You two
So-
would show up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Evening.
Nice to see you all. Thank you for having me back to present to you the school improvement plan for North Reading High School. And if I could, I'd like to just begin by acknowledging the members of the school council at the high school. And I'm pleased to note that our school council grew this year with the addition of 3 new members, 2 additional teachers and 1 additional student. So on the screen, you'll see that in addition to my serving on the school council, we have a student representative, Emily Kalos, teacher representative, Chuck Campabasso, parent representative, Dr. Michelle Casoli-Reardon, our longstanding community representative, Tricia Colella. Tricia Colella has been on the school council since I've been the principal, which is 10 years, and she was on before that, so she continues to serve as a community rep. Emma Furrier is a student representative. Brett Kunzer is a teacher representative. Matthew Layton, a student representative. Mr. LaPrette serves as a non-voting member on the council as the assistant principal. And finally, Mr. Brian McAuliffe, who is also a teacher representative. So I'm pleased that our council was able to grow this year. We sought additional volunteers, and I'm pleased to say that we have added 3. So that's, I think, a good thing. And I'd like to thank them publicly for the work that they did throughout the 9 months that the council met beginning in October. So I believe you all have a copy of the school improvement plan, and I'd just like to kind of walk you through that if I could. As has been the case in the 10 years that I've been in North Reading, we've developed our school improvement plan as a 2-year plan. So you might recall that this began back in 2003 with the idea being that the school committee and the superintendent would see in a year in advance of the priorities that the school council had adopted, and therefore there would be more time for consideration for anything that might be needing financial resources. So prior to the budget process starting, essentially, we would be able to advocate for the things that the school council had endorsed. So we've continued to do that. So what we've done is we've updated the plan to now reflect 2013-14 and 2014-15 goals. But I think it's important for you to just hear about some of the highlights from 2012-13. So in no particular order of importance, they're all important, but I'm just going to, if I could, quickly walk through for you some of the things that the council is particularly proud of, in the sense that they had advocated for some of these things in prior years, and it's nice to see that the work that they do does end up resulting in some of those items being accomplished. So, again, I'll start at the top with technology. We advocated for 4 iPods for the foreign language department. Again, these are iPods, not iPads, but iPods to be used for, these are helpful to students and teachers in hearing language as it's being taught, so that they can learn it a little bit more naturally, if you will. We introduced a Twitter account for North Reading High School late in the spring, and we've also purchased and are using with students in the special education department the Dragon Naturally Speaking program, and we also conducted online this year, and you may recall I presented this back in January when I was before you regarding the course proposals for the following school year, that we had introduced an online alumni survey beginning with last year's graduating class, the class of 2012. We also introduced a number of extracurricular activities in the 2012-13 school year. You might again recall, it was not that long ago, I was before you with presentations in this school year for clubs to start next year. The Future Business Leaders of America, also known as FBLA, the Gay Straight Alliance, and Samantha's Harvest. And we also endorsed a cooperative program in gymnastics and girls ice hockey. We have had a number of faculty book discussion groups, and we are continuing to do that. This year, there was a faculty book discussion group held around the book Flip Your Classroom, and also a second one on Common Ground. And we are already scheduled for a faculty book discussion group. Again, these meet in the morning, by the way. We meet at 6:45 once every 2 weeks. And I think we average probably somewhere around, I would say anywhere from 12 to 18 teachers that participate in these. I think right now there's 15 signed up for the fall book discussion group, which is the last one on the slide, How to Create and Use Rubrics for Formative Assessment and Grading. We are particularly pleased as a council, as I know all of you are, and again, I want to thank you for endorsing the new course proposals that I bring to you each year. We've added 41 new courses over the last 10 years. We're particularly proud of that as a school, as a district, I think, and certainly the school council is very pleased with that as well. Our advanced placement program continues to grow. The school council is extremely supportive of our initiative to expand the advanced placement program. We, in September, will introduce our 16th and 17th advanced placement courses, bringing our total enrollment to somewhere in the area of 375. We have, and the school council is a strong supporter. In fact, there are folks on the council that also sit on standards committees for our accreditation. Our decennial accreditation is coming up in March of 2014. The last year has been spent in doing the self-study work that's associated with that process. We are continuing that into next year, and ultimately March 2nd will be the first day of our 4-day visit by an outside site team. The school-wide learning expectations rubrics, this was a pretty significant undertaking, and again, we really we received an awful lot of support from the school council to create a process by which we would measure students' level of achievement with respect to our 9 learning expectations. That process was adopted last summer. I think it was the June faculty meeting, as a matter of fact. The expectations rubrics were distributed to all students, and they have been online since October. And in the 3rd marking period this year, we began the process of distributing to parents by way of the report card their child's level of achievement with respect to the 9 learning expectations, and we will do that with each academic term. And again, that started with just this past 3rd quarter reporting period. And the self-study process I spoke about just a moment ago with respect to the accreditation. We completed in the winter time, again with the strong support of the council, about a 5-year undertaking of rewriting the curriculum for every course that's offered at the high school. And I don't know how many there are, but it's a lot, I can tell you. I wouldn't even venture a guess. A couple of hundred maybe in total, something like that. That was a huge undertaking that the staff engaged in for probably a period of about 5 years, and that has all been completed. And this summer will be spent compiling those into curriculum guides that will be ready for access in the fall. I think you're all familiar with the Naviance Family Connection program, the electronic transcript reporting that we now do through the guidance office, hugely successful. That is also something that receives a great deal of support from the council. And our climate study team, which is a volunteer group of teachers, has crafted what we believe has the potential to be a very good and beneficial and exciting advisory program for our incoming freshman class, where they are matched with a faculty advisor for their power block. Again, this will be piloted in the fall with the incoming freshmen in the class of 2017. So some highlights from the past year. Going forward, We have a number of goals. I think, I'm going to go ahead, I think there are 9 altogether. A number of goals that the council established for itself at its first meeting this past October. I don't know, Mr. Webster, do you want me to read through these, or is this something I don't want to, is that okay?
I mean, if you-
Would you prefer that I not? Or?
No.
Is that okay?
Yeah,
Just-
yeah.
Okay, I just want to, I know you all have a copy, so, again, maybe for the benefit of the public as well, the goals that we established as a school council to enhance the educational program for students in the areas of curriculum, instruction, and assessment, with a particular emphasis on providing students with the skills needed to meet the challenges of the 21st century and to ready them for college and career success. Goal number 2 is to expand the use of technology as a teaching and learning tool. It's obvious that the new school building that we will be in a year from September is going to play a significant role in our advancing technology as a teaching and learning tool. Goal number 3 is to satisfactorily implement the goals of the North Reading School Committee, the NRPS 2016 Continuous Improvement Plan, the school district's goals, the goals established by the North Reading High School faculty. We develop goals annually as a school. That's what that refers to. Also, we would certainly implement the goals of the governing laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and the federal government, and the provisions of the New England Association of Schools and Colleges, otherwise known as NEASC, which is our high school accrediting agency. Goal number 4 is to provide an extracurricular program to students that contributes to their well-roundedness as individuals. Goal number 5, to maintain student-teacher ratios that allow for a high level of personalization of instruction and support for student learning. And just maybe a reminder to all of you that I think you're all very well aware of the course expansion that has come about in the last several years, and that is, I think it's important to note that has been done with no additional teaching staff. Goal number 6 is to continue the preparations for the March 2nd through 5th, 2014 accreditation site visit by the New England Association of Schools and Colleges. Goal number 7 is to continue to support the effort to construct the new middle high school. Goal number 8 is to continue meeting the provisions of the Common Core standards for English language arts and mathematics. Goal number 9 is to continue to prepare for the implementation of the new educator evaluation model. And I believe this is the last slide, just a preview of some things that we have started to talk about, and as we look ahead, the first 2 are so obvious, but I think they certainly still warrant attention here, and that is the accreditation site visit. The self-study process is a huge undertaking, and it is a very good reflective process for not only the school, but I think for the entire community. So the attention on that process as we lead to our site visit next March is something that I think is worthy of note here, as well as the secondary school building project, of course. There is an awful lot of work going into that project on the part of many, many people, and so the school council recognizes that as well. The faculty book discussion groups have been very good, very healthy for us as a professional learning community at the high school. To work to achieve the stated goals of the SIP. As I mentioned at the outset of this presentation, the school council, I think, really feels very good at the end of each school year when they kind of look back and reflect and say, oh yeah, I do remember that we asked for this or we hoped for this, and they see it come about, and I think that's a good thing. I think it's affirmation of the work that they do. I think it's fair to say that we will be continuing to look at course offerings that will provide a broad and rigorous set of course offerings for our students. And you may all recall that this past April, both the middle school and the high school administered the youth health survey. We're anticipating the results of that survey sometime in the fall. And I think it's fair to say that I don't want to speak for Ms. O'Connell, the superintendent, but I think it's fair to say that we anticipate presenting the results of those surveys to a number of constituency students, parents, the community at large. And again, I think it's fair to say that the data from that will be used to create programs that will continue to enhance the culture and the climate of the school. So that's kind of what's on the table for next year, and I believe that's it.
Any questions or comments? John, I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
Do you have what's your enrollment this year, and do you have a projected enrollment for next year?
The first question's easy. The end of the school year this year, the population was 720,
Yeah.
obviously including the now graduated class. And I think it's a reasonable estimate on the population for the high school in September will be, I think we could see 750 or more students. Very large 8th grade class coming in. Early indications are that our typical loss of 12% of the class to other schools, vocational schools, private schools and such, early indications are that that is not at 12%. In fact, it's not even near 12%, but it is still early. And so that could change, of course. And I think if, again, looking like we do with that 12% factor, if I look historically at the number of students that we transfer in over the course of a summer or early fall, which is often 24 or 30, somewhere in that area, I think it's fair to say that our population could be at 750 or more.
Well, obviously, that'll be a large number for the current building, or very large number, right?
Very large. When I started in 2003, the population was 587 students. So. We graduated 159 students, and I think our incoming freshman class could be as high as 194.
And where is that, I think they're in the middle school, that really large class?
They're going to be 8th graders,
And how much is that?
243.
Awesome.
So there's a good chance we'll have about 780 people in the high school
When we open.
when we open the new school. Something around that. Okay.
Yeah, it's a fluid number, you know, and there's
No,
there are a lot of variables, but I think those are pretty fair estimates.
I know it's fluid. I'm hoping that it's fluid and it quickly goes down again, not up.
I think Main Street's so wide.
Yeah. The other question I had, as you're probably aware, unfortunately, many of the items in our PS 2016 were not funded. We didn't approve them, and one of them was the Mandarin course. I guess I can ask you and the superintendent, is there any chance of bringing that course in, or is that just not?
Well, students have already registered
Okay.
and have been placed for their courses for next year,
That
so.
course wasn't
it-
offered?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. But part of what we're doing during our retreat on July 1st and 2nd is revisiting NRPS 2016. And in the course of doing that, Mandarin was outside of that, but I can see that now being included under teaching and learning for next year.
I hope so. Overall, I think it's a good plan. Continue to turn out great students from the high school.
Yeah.
They were very polite during the graduation this year, and all hit the
Excellent.
beach balls during the breaks in the graduation. So, but I think you and the staff continue to do a great job there. And,
Appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Turning out a lot of students who are doing some great things.
Very proud of them. Yep, absolutely.
Any other questions or comments for John? Great, and then we'll have you, after Kathy does the middle school, then we'll do the
Sure.
handbook, okay? Now we'll bring up Ms. O'Connell to talk about the middle school.
Sure, well, it's on the desktop. Good evening. Thank you for having me. I have my presentation of my school improvement plan. I believe you have the actual plan. You do not have a copy of this presentation, and I apologize for that, but I can certainly get that for you. But everything is in the actual school improvement plan. The first thing I would like to do, similar to Mr. Bernard, is recognize my school council. Helena Meyer, a 6th grade teacher. Stephanie Shakrella, a 6th grade teacher. Lisa Bernard, a community representative. Rich McGowan, a parent of a rising 8th grader. Andrea Gladue and Susan Shedd, parents of rising 9th graders. So I actually, next year, will have new council members. Lisa Bernard is moving on. Her son is actually at a private school and will be in the 10th grade. We are lucky to have Helena Milton from the Flint Memorial Library joining us as a community representative. I'm very excited about that. And our parents who will be joining us are Jennifer Sullivan and Lori Giacalone, and they are parents of rising 6th graders. So the teachers are returning to next year. Just some highlights from this year. I would like to start by saying that we had a very successful Washington, D.C. trip, and we returned with all of the students that we took and had a wonderful time. So I thank you for your approval, and I will be asking for the approval again at another school committee meeting. But we had a great time, great trip.
Plenty of students anyways.
Right. I mean,
You know, you missed one or two.
right, exactly.
Perhaps, though, one of the biggest highlights of this year was the elimination of the traditional study halls, which has been on the list of important areas for me to certainly look at as a new principal. And so I'm very pleased to report that we had a successful elimination of the traditional study hall. The ones in the previous years, students had back-to-back study halls, so they would have 2 blocks of study halls for 1 quarter of the year. Those have been completely eliminated. What we did to replace study halls is introduce something called flex time, and I presented this to you in the fall. It's a flexible learning time for students where they can receive chorus and band instruction, they can receive learning center support, they can receive speech or OT or PT, but it is also a time when, if they're on team with their teachers, they can review for a test with their teachers, get extra help with their teachers. They can participate in enrichment activities, and the teachers have been great about coming up with really creative and fun and engaging activities for the students while still connecting to the curriculum, offering the students a non-traditional way to build relationships with their peers, but also with the teachers. Examples of those activities could be Connects, with the building materials that is great for engineering and technology. Also, origami in the 6th grade was a big hit, which ties into the math curriculum. And the teachers were really excited about the opportunity to use that time on team as a flexible learning time. So that will continue again in the fall. And, it's for the 8th graders, it's a very nice introduction to their power block time that they'll have at the high school. It builds in a little bit of choice in their day when they can have a little bit of freedom in choosing how they use that time. There's also, during that time, the option for quiet study for those students who choose to do homework. There is that option.
Kathy, if I could ask you a question. We don't have block scheduling at the middle school, right? We have more traditional 55-minute classes.
Yes.
Right?
Yep. So this would be, flex time would be, we run on a 6-day cycle. So for most students, it's 3 times in the 6-day cycle for 50 minutes.
Okay.
Additionally, in the effort to remove the traditional study halls, we increased our general arts offerings. We're able to expand robotics into grade 8. So currently, robotics is offered in grade 6 and grade 8. It is not offered in grade 7, primarily because that's when we offer foreign language, the beginning foreign language exposure to students for 1 quarter, and then they take a full year in grade 8. We also introduced general music. Carla Lister transferred from the Batchelder Elementary School and became our general music teacher, and she's done a tremendous job with our general music program. Very happy and hoping to see the numbers increase. Like Mr. Bernard, with Dr. Daly's help, we are continuing with our iPad integration. Our PTO is generously purchasing as a gift to us probably 10 iPads to help. Ideally, we would like to have at least 10 or more offered at each grade level so that teachers could be encouraged to sign them out and use them wherever appropriate to integrate into their curriculum. We also, through Dr. Daly, offer a tremendous amount of support for teachers and training and encouraging them to share best practices when using the iPads. The curriculum mapping and implementation of the Common Core has been our biggest effort in curriculum this year. The teachers have spent a tremendous amount of time aligning their curriculum to the Common Core, especially the literacy standards and the new mathematics standards. Involved in that work has been the continued implementation of common assessments. So at every grade level, to ensure a common grade level experience and to ensure mastery of the essential learning standards at each level, teachers are giving common assessments quarterly, and they're beginning to use the data from those assessments to really look at and refine their teaching. So they will look at the entire grade 7 quarter 1 math assessment and then think about how they need to adjust their instruction, where they need to go back and review based on the data from those assessments. Additionally, when I became principal, when I created an entry plan, and one of the big areas of parent concern was homework and inconsistencies with homework, tremendous amount of homework many parents felt. So the school council spent a tremendous amount of time surveying teachers, students, and parents about homework and their use of homework and the reasons for homework and how much time they spend on homework. And last year, as well as this year, we introduced homework-free weekends. So once a quarter, we have homework-free weekends, which have been a great success. The students love them. The parents seem to be in support of them. And I would say most of the teachers are in support of the homework-free weekends. I think that one of the things that we are looking at is a study skills course that we could offer in grade 6. It seems a lot of parents are reporting, as well as teachers, that students are transitioning into the middle school without a lot of the essential study skill habits. Knowing how to take notes when they're sent home to read a textbook, knowing how to study for a test, knowing how to put together a long-term project, how to break it down and make sure that they don't try to do it all in one night. So we piloted in grade 6 a teacher-created study skills unit. It was 7 lessons, and it was great, tremendous success, and we were hoping to do that again in the fall with all of the 6th graders, and to see if that helps with the way that they're tackling their homework and perhaps help them to work more efficiently. Some of the big celebrations this year moving down, the Science Olympiad, I believe, is in its 4th year and came in 3rd this year, which is great. Very proud of them. Mark Gorgani, I believe, presented to the school committee a few months ago about the team this year. Our drama productions presented in Westford, at Westford Academy, and took home several team medals and individual medals for their production of Chicago ERR comedy. Very funny. Our geography bee, Jonathan Gonthier, did a great job. It's amazing. I was a history teacher for many years, and I think it's fair to say he knows a little bit more geography than I do at this point in my career. The NELMS conference, if you're not sure what that is, that's the New England League of Middle Schools, and we belong to that league, and we attended the conference in Providence this past April, and it's just a great opportunity to talk with other middle school educators in the region, and again, to pick up those important best practices. We took away some really nice ideas for things that we may want to implement, and I'll talk about those in just a minute. No Name Calling Week we held in January, which was a great opportunity to bring awareness to bullying and our efforts to encourage kindness, and we had several activities that week, and I think we highlighted those when you came for the middle school presentation. Poetry Slam, talent show, Pause Activities. The Pause Activities is a district group that works on public awareness and understanding of social education. Again, that's the bullying piece, and works on creating activities district-wide for the schools to be involved in. And several teachers, including myself, are in that group. Something that I neglected to put on there, but I remembered after hearing Mr. Bernard speak, is I'm very proud of the Early Act Club that we created this year. That's part of Interact, it's part of the Rotary Club, and this year we were so lucky to have 3 senior girls come down monthly to work with 6th and 7th grade middle school students around community service projects, and it was the first time the Early Act Club has, North Reading Middle School has participated in an Early Act Club, and it was great, and the girls did such a nice job that they actually asked rising seniors to already take the pledge to come in the fall and help with the Early Act second year, so that's very exciting. When I think about the new school, I get very excited about the opportunities for high schoolers to come and work with our middle schoolers. I think there's tremendous potential. The NRMS 2.0 is a team of teachers, parents, and administrators who are dedicating hours and hours of time over the next couple of years to put together, it's actually one of our goals, so I'll explain a little bit more in a minute, but we're working hard to put together a strategic plan for how we're going to operate differently when we move into a 21st century school. We're taking the opportunity to really look at how we do things and why we do things, and think about the possibility of changing perhaps a schedule. We're just at the very beginning of this work, but really, I think it would be a shame if we moved into a 21st century school and continued to operate in a 20th century style. So that's a group that I'm very excited about, and will be updating you and any opportunity that I can. And like John, book discussions, Schools Where Everyone Belongs is a great book by Stan Davis that our teachers read together. And again, that's about bullying and making kids and teachers feel safe in schools. That was a lot. The goals, I aligned the goals according to the three district areas, the teaching and learning technology and student support services. So under teaching and learning, as I spoke earlier, we're continuing to work, and I look at curriculum work as something that's ongoing. It's dynamic. It's something that should be revisioned each year and looked at. Ideally, I would like to see all of our curriculum, online and in a place where all the stakeholders could, with a click of a button, see all of our curriculum, all of our common assessments, all of our essential understandings, and I know that will happen, and we're working hard to take the steps to make sure that happens. So goal number 1 is, under teaching and learning, is to continue to implement common assessments aligned with the Common Core, and to use those assessments to guide our instruction. Those are important steps for progress monitoring to make sure that we don't wait until MCAS in the spring to find out that our students are falling behind. Goal number 2 is, again, to fully implement the Common Core standards for mathematics for the 2013-2014 school year. The biggest change there, as I know you are aware, is in the 8th grade curriculum. And we did present to the school committee a while back, Dr. Daly and myself, about the changes to the 8th grade curriculum. We also followed that up with a parent night, and again, these changes, we're going to likely have more parent informational nights. We'll probably be coming back to the school committee to update you on our progress, but our goal for the 2014 MCAS is to have our mathematics, science, and English content areas fully aligned to the Common Core, because the MCAS test in 2014 will be fully aligned to the Common Core. Goal number 3, I tried to follow the superintendent's lead and looked at our MCAS scores in mathematics, which is our weakest area, and I am putting a lot of emphasis on improving the student growth percentile, the SGP, in 2 of the 3 grades from 2013 to 2014. In the actual school improvement plan, I listed what the current SGPs are for 6th and 7th and 8th grade for 2012. Those are the 2012 scores. The 2013 scores are not out yet, but we will be working to increase those student growth percentiles in at least 2 of the 3 grades. When I worked on this with the school council, they all said, well, it should be 3 of the 3 grades, and I agree. I would love for the student growth percentile to increase in 3 of the 3 grades, and that will be our goal, but I'm going to say 2 of the 3 grades at a minimum. So in terms of technology and integration, we're going to continue to follow the district's plan to make instructional technology integral to curriculum, instruction, and assessment. My philosophy is that technology should be a tool, and it should help teachers to engage students, and that students should be encouraged to present their projects, their assignments, using technology, but it doesn't replace instruction. It's something that is changing always, and we know that our children, especially in the middle school, are native users, so we need to keep up with what they're using, but it will not replace instruction and curriculum. It is a tool to help with instruction and curriculum, and we will continue to follow the plan to integrate technology. And something that I particularly would like to work on is to continue to support the use of Edline as a home-to-school communication tool. This is something relatively new to the middle school, and many of our parents, our new parents certainly from the elementary schools, do not know how to use Edline. They're not familiar with Edline, Edline is a tool that they can access at home to check their students' grades. And I want to pledge to support parents and support students, training them so that students should be accessing Edline as much as their parents, and having them take responsibility to go in and check their grades and set some goals. And I actually pulled some data, Nan Cook helped me pull some data on the percentages of accounts that were activated for 6th and 7th and 8th grade for parents and students, and I'm really going to pledge to try to increase the amount of accounts that are activated. The district is paying to use Edline, so we want to encourage all parents and all students to activate their accounts and use it regularly. It's a terrific tool. And I'm going to offer a training in the fall for our new parents to make sure that they understand how to access the site. Under student support services, again, I said a little bit about the comprehensive strategic plan that I'm working on for the 2015-2016 school year when we move into our new school. What I'm hoping to have is by the end of the 2014 school year, I hope to have that plan in place to present to you. We're going to, the team is going to come up with 4 or 5 focus areas. We're currently working on deciding what those focus areas should be. And then underneath those focus areas, we are going to create a plan as to what we would propose to you as possible changes, if any, to the daily operations of the middle school when we move into the new building. Something that's going to change this fall is our parent-teacher conference schedule for the 2013-2014 school year. Chairman Webster, you asked about the population of the high school next year. The middle school, I believe, is going to be at the highest. I don't know if it's ever been in the high it'll be 680 something.
684. I just looked at it. That's
And our current parent-teacher conference schedule is a very traditional junior high school model, and it simply cannot accommodate, based on the team structure that we use, it just simply cannot accommodate. In the time that we offered in November last year, we could not fulfill the demand of parent slots for the conferences that we had. It was just, the math didn't add up, and we were scheduling conferences into January. So what we've come up with, and again, this was teacher-driven, we took a lot of time, we had a teacher committee and lots of faculty meetings, and we've come up with a plan in the fall for an academic open house, different than back to school night, but an academic open house where parents will be invited to come and tour the classrooms with their students, and the students will show them their work examples. So the students will show their parents or their family members what they've been doing in English class, in math class, in science class, in social studies class, and all their general arts classes. It's a great opportunity to build community awareness of the really great things that happen in the middle school. And then in January, we will have more traditional conferences, and they will be by invitation. We will be inviting parents of those children who we are most concerned with to come in and have a lengthy conference. In the past, conferences have been not even 10 minutes long, very brief, not long enough to have a substantial conversation if we have concerns. And so we're excited about this new opportunity to increase community, involvement in the school. And something that I'll emphasize as we, begin this next year is that at any time throughout the year, parents can ask for a conference at any time, and the team leaders of each team will schedule those conferences. So parents, I will make sure that they know that they can come in anytime and they're welcomed if they have concerns. The third goal is to continue to develop our social curriculum around bullying, to use research, and to continue to do what we can to make our students feel safe. Like the curriculum, that's an ongoing area where we need to spend a lot of time and do a lot of work around making sure that our students feel safe, and that when they have a problem, that they know what to do and who to go to report that problem. We're going to be continuing to implement changes to our language-based program that started in grade 6 this year. That cohort of students who benefited from this language-based program in grade 6 are moving on to grade 7. So we're excited to be able to offer them a continuum of their services. So that will be a change in grade 7. And in grade 6 this year, we're going to have a new program that I'm very excited about for students typically who present with high cognitive skills but are vulnerable to social interactions with their peers. They need some coaching and some pragmatics around social interactions. So it's a fully inclusive program. The students will go to all of their regular classes, but they're going to have a special education liaison teacher assigned to them, so that when they're having troubles with their peers and when they're having a social issue, they will have a person that they can go to right away on team to help them work through that problem. So this is called Connections, and a teacher from the bachelor school, Gina Sacco, I believe, is coming up to work in that program. So we're excited about that. New initiatives, I think I've talked a lot about these. Just about done. The big, changes in the grade 8 mathematics, as I said earlier, are continuing, and we have a goal to develop an accelerated pathway for our students who show readiness at the end of 6th grade, and we're going to be working hard this year to develop what that's going to look like for the rising, will be next year, 7th graders. So we're going to be developing accelerated mathematics pathways with our mathematics department and Dr. Daly. As I've said several times, that NRMS 2.0 team is going to be working all year. We're actually working in the summer. We're going to be visiting other middle schools. We're going to be looking at best practices at the middle level and trying to really look at how we can improve North Reading Middle School. Again, the academic open house in November to exhibit student work should be a great night. I'm looking forward to that. I hope you could join us. Something that, as the high school is also doing, that I think is really important at a middle school is an advisor-advisee program. And part of the NRMS 2.0 team is going to be looking at the possibility of an advisor-advisee program for the middle schoolers. And what that is, if you don't know, is taking a small group of students and every couple of weeks, or at least once a month, meeting with one teacher to talk about, as a check-in, to talk about how things are going. There's curriculum that can be used, lots of different types of curriculum, but it's the opportunity to make students feel like they have at least one adult in the building that knows them very, very well, and that can help them, again, if they get into a bind, if they're having a problem, there's someone that they can go to. And the implementation of the Connections program in grade 6. So those are the big initiatives. I think, like Mr. Bernard, that's my last slide as well. Are there any questions?
I've got a couple of comments and questions. The new school, we're going to continue the 6th grade academy with a separate?
Yes.
Do that? Okay.
The school is designed for the 6th grade to have their own school within a school,
Okay.
where it is now, actually, just
Okay.
completely renovated.
What are the chances that, I believe at some point we had a full year of foreign language at the 7th grade, didn't we? I would love to return to that, but I don't know.
As would I. And I think, as we find when we go out to other middle schools, many other middle schools in the area offer a full year of foreign language in grade 7. So I'm hoping that we're able to do that.
Okay.
The superintendent and I have talked about that.
And then the two last comments, I would like to see more homework-free weekends. I'm sure that wouldn't go over well with the teachers. I just think it's something, if we could look into that more than once a quarter. And then the other thing is on the enrollment. What is the school built for? I know we have the modulars, but with the
630.
This school.
yeah, this school,
This school.
as currently,
This school?
yeah,
500,
including the modulars.
I forget, it's about 570, I believe.
Wow.
It's pretty tight. One more year, and then
I'm
we're.
gonna say it's real. I mean, at least for next year, you'll be in the high school, which will be much larger, and then in the new school. But I would like to see the superintendent for our next meeting in July. I think we need to look at enrollment and discuss enrollment. I'm getting concerned by these numbers. I know everybody thinks that our elementary enrollment is shrinking, but it's not. We're already starting to see an increase, and I'm starting to get concerned about some of these numbers. Hopefully it is just a bubble, but I'm not convinced of that. So if we could, I don't know what exactly we could put on the agenda in
I could
July,
show you
but-
some trend analysis, again, particularly at the elementary, but I believe all the way through now. Summertime is a time when we see a lot of fluctuation in the enrollments, people leaving for whatever reason and people moving in. I'll be happy to revisit it in July, but in September, and that's why we have an October 1 enrollment report, because that's when typically there's more stability in the
July,
enrollment.
You might have an idea about an increase.
Oh, we will
in-
definitely
in
have an idea.
kindergarten, preschool, et cetera.
Yes, we have an idea now, so I will have that for you at our July meeting.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? As with Mr. Bernard, I think you've done a great job in the middle school. Eliminating most, if not all, the study halls is just outstanding. I think that was the biggest complaint that all of us used to get about the middle school, was that, why are my kids spending 50, 60, 70 minutes not in classrooms?
Constantly.
And I think continuing to be able to have offer an effective education in this facility is a challenge, especially with your enrollment levels. So this plan looks great. And these two reports tonight, I think, as Jerry was just saying to me earlier, couldn't make it any more clearer that we made the right decision with this new school project. Because we just can't, we're
Don't have the
we're
resources.
bursting out of these buildings,
That's correct.
and we just can't be in them anymore, so.
I agree with the chairman too, that we should have maybe more than one homework-free weekend a quarter. I know for these kids, the homework starts to interfere with their sports over the weekends and things like that, so it really is it can be a problem.
I agree.
But I'm not an expert on it, clearly, I'm not an expert on much.
You do hear
but,
complaints though,
yeah.
that's something you hear complaints about as well.
And I've actually read a couple of books on homework. There's 3 or 4 pretty popular ones out there. And it just seems that there's a way to get lessons across and to get points across without as much homework as we give.
And
At
we're
all
working on
levels.
that with even the flipped classroom
Yeah,
concept,
yeah.
where the students are going home doing non-traditional homework that they may be very interested in, and then
Right.
coming to school for, it's a whole different type of concept.
Right.
So that course was offered this year, which is very exciting, and many middle school teachers participated in that course.
Good.
So it's great.
Yeah.
Homework shouldn't be just repetitive. It should be an opportunity to learn and to solidify concepts that are learned in the classroom. But not, in my view, if I had my druthers, I'd have 0 credit for homework. But if you don't do it, you're probably not going to be very successful in life. There needs to be that break between staying up all night to do homework, just because it's 400 questions or 400 problems to do, just because, and simply learning it. When you learn it on the 5th one, you should be able to forget the rest.
It's only the zeroing in on us here.
We're learning.
It hasn't stopped.
I know.
I'd like to say, with the presentation of these 2 school improvement plans, that I'm very proud of the work that our building administration and central office administration is doing. I'm hoping that you can see a coherence now between the 3 elementary schools leading to the middle school that then feeds into the high school and reflects what's taking place at the district level, so that there is an overall strategic plan, and we are very explicit about how we feel we are moving the district forward to improve student achievement. But I commend the building principals for all of the work that they're doing. They exhibit great leadership, and I couldn't be any prouder.
Agreed.
Concur.
Amen.
I think we should
Thank
consider
you.
evacuating this building.
Still have lights.
We should stay right
So just
here.
one last number, between the 2 schools, where it looks like we're gonna have about 1,434 students next year, between the high school and the middle school.
Feel free to stay.
Yeah, well, at this point, I'll entertain a motion to approve the high school improvement program, plan.
Municipal.
So move.
A second.
Any further discussion?
Who was the?
Motion by Cliff, second by me.
Thank you.
Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, unanimous. And now I will entertain a motion to approve the middle school improvement plan for 2013.
So moved.
Second.
We'll give that to Janine, she beat you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
John, are you gonna be using that for your? No. Okay, so I can go back to my assigned seat.
I won't be blind.
All right. Now we're gonna have Mr. Bernard go over some minor changes to the student handbook for next year.
Can we keep the light off? It's actually not
Yeah,
a
it's
little
nice.
cooler.
Yeah.
I don't think it really changes the video.
This is the lightning strike zone that I'm coming back to.
You're very well protected.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
I'm gonna call that metal
stuff
made
out there
though.
that's
Yeah.
protecting you. It's a much better target than the school.
Floor is yours, John.
Thank you. Not too many proposed changes to the student parent handbook for 2013-14. Do you have a handout?
Yes.
So what I did was, I highlighted in yellow the changes that I'm proposing, seeking your endorsement of. And so, with your permission, I'll just walk through and talk a little
Okay.
bit about each one.
Sure.
Okay? The first is, what would be pages 5 and 6 in the handbook, is an update to the core values and beliefs of the high school. We have adopted a review process that for every 2 years to go back and look at our core values and beliefs and our academic and social expectations for students. And we have a small committee of faculty that do that. And so we have proposed some changes to that statement of core values and beliefs. They're very minimal. The introductory sentence, I think, brings us more in line with our emphasis on citizenship, leadership through service, and lifelong learning as our core values. And we also, a little bit further into that first paragraph, we added the word healthy to precede risk-taking. We previously had read higher order thinking, problem solving, risk-taking, and innovation combined with academic rigor. We added the word healthy. Then if you move through to page 17, what would be page 17 in the handbook is under the section of grade point averages and class rank. We have conducted some research and believe that we would be moving North Reading High School more in line with our peer communities to adopt a policy that we would not issue a class rank, we would not formally issue a class rank to a student who did not spend at least their junior and senior years at North Reading High School. And for those students, you can see the last sentence here in the proposal that those students would meet individually with their guidance counselor. This is a pretty standard practice, and the guidance counselor would assist the student in reporting out to any colleges or universities that he or she might be applying to where their rank would be in the school had they been there for 4 years. But we haven't encountered this problem, but in anticipation of the idea that someone may transfer in from a state that maybe an academic program isn't as competitive as Massachusetts, the standards may not be what our standards are, and for those students who have been in the high school for their 4 years, and now a student transfers in the senior year with a program that might be deemed by some to be substandard to ours, could conceivably unseat somebody within the class ranking who had spent their 4 years at the high school. So that is the purpose behind that proposed change. Again, it's not something we have encountered. On page, what would be page 18, just this is new language of a couple of years ago around this. I think as more and more schools adopted the common application, more and more post-secondary institutions adopted the common application, there are reporting procedures for students who may have had any kind of a serious disciplinary consequence or might be facing some sort of a criminal charge. The language that I'm proposing to add to this section is that, again, as more and more schools use the common application, as more and more of our students take advantage of the common application, we believe that it's important for parents and students to know that those schools will request disciplinary records on that student at what's called a mid-year report and a final report. We previously have not notified parents of that, and we think it's important to notify them that that is something that the common application does ask us, and it does not leave an option for a blank. It must be answered, and with what's called specific informed consent by the parent. The next one is page 28 and 29, and simply what I did here was just substitute in what I believe was a recently adopted update to the hazing policy that the school committee had adopted, so I've inserted the... I jumped right here.
I saw it. It just... Wow.
Okay.
Okay, I think I'll be all right.
So was that before
You're calm.
approval of the change to the
I hope that didn't take
There will
down
be
any
no
steel.
hazing.
I know.
I'm telling you, I think we should.
You mentioned hazing and a lightning bolt came from the
I
sky.
think we should leave the building.
Yeah.
Seriously.
What's
Is there an
safe on here?
escape pod?
I'm just proposing to insert the new language in our handbook for 13, 14. And then I believe lastly, I just, as we continue, you may or may not know, we list a descriptive paragraph around each extracurricular activity in the handbook, and so I would be including a brief description for each of the 3 that you recently adopted at a school committee meeting. The Gay Straight Alliance, Samantha's Harvest, and the Future Business Leaders of America.
Any
And
questions?
I believe that's it.
Any questions of John? These seem pretty straightforward.
Yeah, primarily the hazing.
Right. And that's the policy we adopted back a month or so ago, or a month and a half ago. So if there's no questions, I will entertain a motion to approve the changes and updates to the student handbook. Motion by Cliff, second by Janine. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Thanks, John.
That was the easiest
Thank you
handbook
very much.
table ever.
Don't get wet.
It doesn't sound like you guys really want to go outside, but I leave it up to you.
You're very welcome to stay
Yeah.
and be safe.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Have a good summer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Time is of the essence if we want to get out of here alive.
Jerry, if we leave now, our risk is higher.
Yes,
than if
well,
we
we're going
wait.
out into the storm.
However, I want to leave before 9 o'clock.
That was pretty
so-
scary. Oh, yeah, but no, that was pretty scary. Okay, moving on, getting back to continued business, an update on the building project. Kathy?
Yes, the last secondary school building committee meeting was held on June 18th, beginning at 5:30 p.m. As you are aware, site blasting at the high school began on Thursday. That's not it, June 20th, and will continue through tomorrow, June 25th.
Good special effects.
Yeah, it's really good, Kathy. I knew I knew it was a good decision to hire her.
As you know, communication in the form of an email was sent to all parents, faculty, and staff in the district. And our OPM, PMA, informed the abutters, and the North Reading Fire Department issued the permit and is monitoring all activity on site. This blasting is considered low level, and the impact to the educational process has been minimal. PMA and Gilbane work closely with us as administrators to minimize concern and to provide information regarding all of the issues that could be associated with the process and our expectations. There will be a phase 2, and that blasting plan is being developed as we speak. I spoke with Jeff Wetton, our owner's project manager, today, and he indicated that they hope to have the plan by the end of next week. And then there will be an informational meeting for residents of Peabody Court. They're hoping that that will take place this Thursday to give them plenty of advanced notice and to provide an opportunity for those residents to ask any questions that they may have about what is coming. The construction update, stud framing has begun on the south side of the high school academic wing. The electric and plumbing installation continues underneath the first floor slab. The regrade of the slope in front of the school will begin once students are released for the summer. Structural steel for the gym will be finished by mid to the end of July. The roof for A building will begin mid to late July, and once that's complete, interior electrical work begins.
Wow.
So that's very
Now,
exciting.
A building, that's the high school classroom, right?
That's correct. And the secondary school building committee reviewed the revised high school parking plan and tree removal in response to the lost parking on the student parking side due to the construction of the wastewater treatment plant. And this phase of the project will again commence once students are dismissed for the summer.
Will that have an impact on parking next year?
It will, but the parking that is on the other side of the building, off of the access road, has been reconfigured and
Okay.
increased to include now 203 to 5 parking spots. So, but
Okay.
there will be an impact, particularly next spring when more students get their permit.
Oh, yeah.
There will be an impact to the number of spaces that will be available for student parking. So we will not be able to house as many students parking on site as we have in the past until the project is complete.
Okay.
Okay? Let's see. There was a discussion regarding metal finish of panels on the clear story along Main Street. That's very high up along clear story. So following a very lengthy discussion about anodized aluminum versus power-coated paint finish and the savings, potentially of about $180,000 associated with the power-coated paint finish, the committee unanimously voted to approve the painted metal panels on specific areas of the project. Any panels or metal that will be in high traffic areas will continue to be anodized, because that does have a longer life. But anything that's very high and out of reach of any traffic will be the coated paint finish. Again, we have Mr. Bowers, Mr. Venezia, and Mrs. Imbriano who participate in the Thursday construction meetings. So I'm not sure if there's anything that they would like to add at this time.
Yeah. I don't have much really. I think you covered just about everything in pretty good detail.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have 2 more meetings established for Secondary School Building Committee. They're going to be Tuesday, July 9th. That meeting starts at 5:30 in the modular cafeteria. And then Tuesday, July 23rd, that meeting begins at 6:30 p.m. in the modular cafeteria. So again, the SSBC is now transitioning to a more regular schedule for the 2nd and the 4th Tuesday of every month, with the 2nd Tuesday being at 5:30 and the 4th Tuesday being at 6:30, because we need a more regular schedule.
Right.
Oh, yes. There is a beam that is located at the back of the middle school that will be used during the topping off ceremony. So students at the middle school and the high school, educators, administrators, and school committee members have all signed the beam, and I believe it will be removed tomorrow or the next day. And I'm not exactly sure when the topping off will be. We had a brief conversation about it at the last meeting, but it's not going to be for a while, and Mr. Jeff Wetton will let us know in plenty of time so that we can plan a topping off ceremony. But I don't know what that
Steel's
is.
due to be completed around July 20th on the gymnasium, so it'll be around that time.
Around that time?
And that's the last, topping off means the last piece of structural steel,
think so.
correct?
Last piece of structural
Yeah.
steel.
That's it.
Okay. Very exciting.
That doesn't
Very
mean the last
exciting.
piece of steel.
No,
I mean the
structural
last piece of
steel.
Structural
Right. There'll be
steel.
plenty of more steel on the building, but it's great seeing it going up and the lights on now at night when you drive by.
Yeah, it's
So
great.
light it up.
And
That's
they,
it.
they did, one thing I will add is, they started spreading the loom on the slope. I hope there's
I
still
saw
some
that.
there tomorrow.
Oh, I know. I was just thinking of that.
This rain, but they did a lot of loom on that
Yeah.
slope.
Saw that.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
They'll have to collect it and put it back.
Yes. Okay. Things moving along there. So next we have an update on the PPS director search.
Yes, thank you. We, to this point, have received 15 applications, and we had a very much smaller group of individuals come together. We've conducted 3 interviews up to this point, and now we're calling on references of those 3 individuals. They are currently retired PPS directors. 2 of the 3 have just completed an interim director of either special ed or pupil personnel services in other districts in this state. So I will bring that information forward to you as soon as I'm ready to make a recommendation. My only concern is the next meeting for the school committee, and the school committee must appoint the director of pupil personnel services. That is your role. I bring the name forward, and you need to vote on accepting that name under MGL.
And we don't meet till the end of July.
We don't meet till the end of July,
I would,
so
I mean, I don't know what everybody's schedule is, but if there has to be an emergency meeting to vote on an appointment, we could try to put that together.
I will
but-
keep you posted, and
Because
I'll
I know
let
you don't want to
know.
go to the end of July.
I prefer not to, but I have a Plan B in place. Patricia Bullard will start at Masconomet on July 8th.
Okay.
So we already have a plan for an interim until we have an interim
Okay.
PPS director appointed.
Yeah, I know in the past we've posted a meeting, just come in for that one
Right.
agenda item and voted and left.
Right.
So,
Thank you. I wasn't aware.
Yeah, we've
Yeah.
done
So
that a
that
couple of
works.
times.
so we could do that. That's not a
Okay.
big deal.
Okay,
All you need is 3 members.
Right. Right.
thank you.
Okay, next, mask conference registration.
Yes, I'm just revisiting this agenda item that was on the agenda at the last meeting in June, last school committee meeting in June. Because there is a savings if school committee members register before July 15th, if you know that you would like to attend, I'm going to ask that you register. There is on your own and have the bill sent to the school district, there is that option now.
When's the deadline for the?
July 15th, but the
Okay.
sooner the better. So, here's a packet for
I think
you
I'm gonna
if
go,
you-
against my
Okay.
better judgment, I think I'm gonna go.
Could you
Where's
please send it to Mel?
On the Cape.
am.
I think I'm gonna go.
Just want to give you a little piece of information. Recently, I was contacted by the executive director of MASBO, John Crafton, who asked that I be part of a panel presentation at this conference on Friday morning regarding the hiring of a director of finance and operations. And I reminded him last year I was the person that stood up and said, "Can you help me? I'm in the process of looking for."
And you still haven't got one.
We do. We have
No.
one. So I will be part of that panel presentation this year.
She's gonna give them advice on how to conduct a number of
Nationwide
nationwide
searches
searches,
for every
yes,
position.
for every position that we. So July 15th, if we wanna go.
Yes.
And do we have to pay online
What
or?
you'll do is you'll fill out this form
Mhm.
and you can either bring it back to the office and we'll fax it, or you can mail it. And you see under payment method, it says bill the school district. You'll check that off.
Okay.
The second page is for you to make a reservation for your room. And you would be reimbursed for that, but you need to use your own means of payment for that because the district does not have a credit card.
Oh, so I'll have to submit my expense report to the new guy, I don't know.
I think we can trust it.
The only person who'd have trouble getting reimbursed is Jerry.
That's true.
Kyle's still be here.
Oh, Kyle will be here, yeah, that's true.
So that's all for that agenda.
Okay. Let's move down. This is actually a very exciting item here. We have a new North Reading School Resource Officer.
That's correct. The superintendent and the North Reading chief of police began discussions about hiring a school resource officer, also known as an SRO, during the spring of 2012. So this has been in process for well over a year. And so I have shared some of that information with you at previous meetings, and on March 9th, 2013, I had an opportunity to co-present this initiative to the Board of Selectmen with the Chief of Police while he was making his police department budget presentation. And following a discussion by the Board of Selectmen, they unanimously supported this initiative. So last week, the Chief of Police, Chief Murphy, announced that Officer Kevin Donnelly was recently appointed to this position. And Chief Murphy released a statement last Thursday, and I'm just going to read a piece of it. Officer Kevin Donnelly has been assigned as the new full-time school resource officer. Kevin has been a full-time North Reading police officer since May of 2002. He was certified as a school resource officer in April of 2008 through the National Association of School Resource Officers. Kevin has been a school liaison at both the middle school and the high school since 2006. Kevin's an active member of the Massachusetts Juvenile Police Officers Association. There's more text, but you can read that online if you haven't seen that. And a copy of the North Reading SRO job description was included in your packet. It just goes on to describe what is the role of a school resource officer. It outlines 3 main functions, including law enforcement officer, law-related educator, and law-related advisor. So there's lots of description around each of those 3 roles, and this is just one piece in a coordinated approach to school safety across the district. So included in this job description are the duties and responsibilities of the SRO, administrative responsibilities, skills and knowledge required, and then expected qualifications. So there's lots of narrative and text surrounding those major areas, and I didn't know if there were any questions by any school committee members around this
I
appointment.
think this is a great step
Yeah.
forward. Congratulations to the superintendent. Thank you to Chief Murphy, but also to the Board of Selectmen for approving this. I think it's fantastic. It can only be a plus, and again, the selectmen deserve some credit for approving this as part of their, really part of their budget.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
especially having a dedicated resource, especially that we can use in an educational way to
Mhm.
run seminars and classes and for the kids at the various age groups, I think
Absolutely.
is awesome.
Absolutely.
I can tell you that the main focus this year will be really reevaluating our emergency operations protocol.
Yep.
The chief and I have been doing that over the course of this year. But now our school resource officer will be a very active participant on all of the school safety teams in each of the schools. And we will be conducting tabletop exercises. Because the more practice you have, when you're faced with an emergency, the more intuitive your response will be based on those protocols that are in place. So we're very excited about this, and the chief and I agree that that is a priority.
Excellent.
Okay.
Any comments? Thank you, Kathy. The next item we're going to defer. It's to discuss the superintendent's contract and salary for next year. What we're going to do is, after the meeting ends, we're going to discuss this in executive session. Initially without the superintendent, then bring the superintendent back in if we want to ask any questions or she has any questions or comments. And then once, hopefully that'll go by, it's not very complicated, so it should go by pretty quickly. Then once that's over, we'll come back into public session to vote on the contract. So we'll do that next. 2013-14 school committee meeting schedule.
So a copy of the draft of the 2013-14 meeting schedule was included in your packet. This draft has been submitted to the town administrator, Greg Valuconis, because the school committee has requested to meet in room 14 of Town Hall for the meetings next year beginning in September. And so the town administrator took a look at this and requested that we give him enough time to take it before the Board of Selectmen for their review. The Board of Selectmen have and historically met on the first and the third Monday of every month, and the school committee on the second and the fourth Monday of every month. And so if you take a look at the draft school committee meeting schedule, you'll see that those dates for the second and the fourth Monday of every month are identified, except in the case where there are 4 Tuesdays due to holidays that are occurring on a Monday. So you can just take a look at that. I didn't know if you had any questions.
I have one question. The first date is September 9th, I believe.
9th, not 19th. Thank you very much. I agree. It is September 9th.
I already know there's a one date that I can't do, that's December 23rd. Everything else works in my schedule.
Pretty sure there's one I can't do either, but everything else works, and I don't think we should rearrange a schedule for me or one of us, so.
If there's multiple conflicts, fine. But
Right.
I will not be in attendance.
I just want to tell you, December 23rd is during school vacation.
Okay.
But if the committee,
We may not need,
that's the fourth Thursday
sometimes
of the month.
cancel that.
we sometimes only have one meeting in December, so
That's true.
or we could do, we should think about that.
I just didn't know if you wanted to reserve the room, and you can always
That's actually kind of
cancel.
close, to be honest, that's actually really close to Christmas, that's only.
It is.
Our school department business takes priority over everything else. So
Absolutely.
I think that's the way-
As chairman, I think we ought to, that's the one meeting date I think we ought to rethink.
Okay.
The only other thing that I see could be a possible conflict is if the SSBC continues the second and fourth Tuesday of every month, we're gonna have a conflict
Oh, right.
those 4 days.
Right.
Although if the meeting's at 5:30,
Well,
might
if
be
we
able
can
to.
be done by
Yeah.
7, that
Yeah.
would be nice.
Yeah.
Now, on those Tuesdays, we could consider the first and the third as opposed to the second and the fourth.
Mhm.
Then you're.
Thursday.
But then we would
No.
conflict with the,
Oh,
They've
you're
got the
right,
same
because they move
situation.
theirs, they
Right.
do,
They've
they
got the
move
same
theirs.
situation.
They do.
yeah. So, let's, I think we don't need to vote tonight, right? You need to submit this to Greg and see if they can
Yeah.
Right.
match the schedule.
Right, but I wanted you to have this
Okay.
in front of you to be able to see what has been put out there.
Okay.
So at this point, should I put tentative next to December 23rd instead of?
I would,
Yep.
And just in case?
yeah.
Yeah. If we have to, we can move to the 24th.
Okay, thanks, Catherine.
And again, I
Is that
have
like
question
when
marks
we need
next
it?
to those
I know.
2 town meeting dates. I'm waiting for Greg to confirm those.
Okay. Bills and payroll, we just had a few and they're done. Minutes, we don't have any. Budget update, we don't have one. Staffing, Kathy.
Yes, in your packet, I have included a staffing report that details for you the retirements from 2012-13, The position reductions primarily due to enrollment from this current school year to the next, position additions from this school year to the next, and then anticipated openings for next school year. So just in a nutshell, we have, let's see, 13 retirements, 7 of which are teachers, 4 paraprofessionals, 1 food service, and 1 director of finance and operations. And all of those individuals are listed, as well as their years of service with North Reading Public Schools. There were 4 position reductions due to enrollment. Those were all absorbed into the budget. And then there were 5 position additions with really one of those, the adjustment counselor, is a swap for the alternative education
At the high
teacher
school.
that was reduced at the high school.
Right.
So it's just a different way of rethinking how we service our students.
This does not include the potential, we've had a little discussion, you may have to add, if kindergarten enrollment keeps going up, this doesn't include that, right?
This does not include that. I have recently met with the elementary principals, and at the end of July, beginning of August, we're going to take the temperature of
Okay.
the enrollment, and I may need to come back to the committee at the end of July and request a 0.5 kindergarten teacher. We do have a plan for that, because we needed to, we reduced a 0.5 kindergarten teacher, but we'll cross that bridge at the end of July.
Okay.
The enrollments are increasing.
Any questions on the staffing? While we're at this point, I think we should acknowledge that Carl Nelson will be, I think he'll be leaving on the end of this week will be his last official week, although he will be in a few days into July.
That's correct.
Helping our new Director of Finance and Operations, Michael Connolly, transition into the new role.
That's correct.
And helping to close out the fiscal year. But I'd like to publicly thank and acknowledge Carl for his 14 years of dedication to our school district. And I'm sure he's going to find a lot of interesting things to do in his retirement. Anybody else like to?
I think we've said it before, but I'll say it again. We're going to miss Kyle, not only his professionalism, but he was a true gentleman.
Yep.
And it was a pleasure to have him at meetings and to work with him for all these years.
Cliff? Nothing specific, Karen?
I just think he's an excellent teacher. There are so many things I've learned over the last 4 years, and most of them have come from Carl, or he's been very good about coaching me and things that I just completely botched the first couple times I tried to think it through. So he's been an amazing mentor, which has been wonderful. So I'm going to miss him a lot.
I think we said it all last Thursday night.
Janine? Nothing specific? Other than we're all going to miss him. Kathy?
He was
Definitely.
a wonderful mentor to me when I came to North Reading 3 years ago. I don't think that I would have managed to make it through that first summer without his guidance, his institutional knowledge, and his friendship. So I will miss him terribly.
So good luck, Carl. You're welcome as a guest. I hope you're watching, since you can get the meetings in Reading. I hope you'll be watching
I'm gonna guess
every.
Kyle's probably watching the Bruins game right now.
He may be watching the Bruins.
The power went out, actually. My husband texted
Oh,
me.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
He can't watch any TV.
The power's out.
Oh, no.
I hope it's not out in my neighborhood. Bids and donations.
The circuit comes up Francis Street and down Pomeroy, so
Oh,
I
right.
probably still have power.
Thanks, Cliff.
We actually have a very generous donation from the company where former school committee member Michael Kushakji works. The company Simpson, Gumpertz, and Heger, headquartered in Waltham, is going to donate 2 used and in very good condition smart boards and projectors to the North Reading Public School System. So I'd entertain a motion to thank both Michael and his company with gratitude for this donation.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mike.
Definitely.
Positively.
This is great.
Very nice.
Motion to accept?
Oh, sorry. We're all good.
Motion by Cliff,
Second.
second by Karen. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thanks, Michael.
Awesome.
That is awesome. Subcommittee updates. We have, what do we have? Oh, athletic subcommittee.
Finance
Um,
planning team.
Jerry? Oh, yeah, we have finance planning too, but,
We Met back on June 20th. The athletic boosters, John Norton was there to give us a report. John told us, like in a lot of areas, the cost of running the awards night has gone up to almost about $5,000 a year for the three sports banquets that they have for the fall, winter, and spring seasons. And that their fundraisers have been down. I think he mentioned almost $2,000.
yeah.
So they're feeling the pinch. Their primary goals are still to run the awards nights and to help subsidize user fees for those kids who can't afford it and don't qualify for free or reduced fees. One of the things he had raised to the committee was that they're paying $1,735 a year for those storage units you see out on the athletic field to store equipment for football team and various the track equipment as well. And he talked to us and asked us if there was anything we could do about that. Mel and I talked about it, and we wanted to come back and recommend to the committee that the school department absorb the $1,735 cost to free up the boosters a little bit. It's probably something they shouldn't be paying for
Right.
on a regular basis like that.
Right.
We talked about the girls' cooperative ice hockey program, which we started, I think, 2 years ago. And there's not a lot of participation, but the athletic director strongly recommended that we continue with the program. And I think the committee agreed with that. One of the things we need to deal with is that the cost of some of these co-op programs where we send students from North Reading to other districts to play can be very, very high, exceeding certainly what they're paying in user fees. So we discussed writing a new policy as soon as possible that would cover this type of situation where we have students going to play in other towns, and that policy would basically cover the cost that would be incurred by that student to play.
I think the
on
policy was
that sport.
if they're paying more than what the athletic fee is, the athletic fee is
Fee
waived.
would be
in-
waived, but
in
I think
North
we gotta,
Reading.
we gotta get into maybe even a little more detail, but
Right,
that's the,
right.
that's the general. For instance, the girls that wanna go play hockey there are paying as much as $1,300 or $1,400 to go play.
Yeah.
We have to be careful because we create these programs as pilot programs, which means that after 2 years, if the program is successful, that the program would continue as part of the athletic department budget. But we can't afford, I don't think we can afford to be subsidizing that kind of payment for sports like either hockey or gymnastics, whatever it might be. So we're gonna have to put something together.
Yep.
We talked about the varsity assistant coaches that we appointed for this past spring season. Baseball and softball worked out very well, very successful. We had two North Reading alumni appointed as assistant coaches for both the baseball and the softball team, and they did very well. The athletic director said that the priority, if we were to continue doing this, would be for soccer. Boys soccer has 74 kids registered for next year, and girls has 60.
Close to 60, yeah.
So that would be the next priority. Budget-wise, it's going to be tough to do that. The cost is probably about $4,000 for each
Yeah.
of those coaches. And then we talked about, again, with the economy the way it is, the sponsorship banners at the athletic complex. They were $1,000. We were getting $1,000. The athletic department was. Not the athletic department, sorry, the recreation department was. They're now selling them for $600, and they have about 26 or 27
down,
sold.
yeah,
So it's
down.
down considerably. But that's money that goes back into the complex down there through the recreation department. So
On both these items, I think, I don't know if we need a vote on the paying the $1,700 or so a year on the storage containers. I think we can probably
It's a
absorb that
budget
in the
item,
budget.
yeah.
It's really not something that the boosters should be paying for.
No, that's a school function.
Right,
Yeah.
it's a school
it
function, and
takes
we,
away from there.
Well, once the team building.
Right,
Right,
is
that'll
done,
go
they
away.
will
That'll
be
go
taken
away.
Yeah,
Right.
that, so.
So
we'd
it's a
only have to go
2-year
from
cost.
years to 2 years.
Yeah, it's a 2-year cost,
Mm-hmm.
and it's $1,700. The other thing, and I don't think we should take a vote tonight, but we should vote in the July meeting. I think there is a need for the coaches, but
It's
I
gonna
think
be tough
justifying in the
budget-wise.
budget is
Yeah,
gonna
it
be
is.
difficult, given what we've cut out of the budget. So I would recommend that we put that on the agenda for our July 29th meeting and take a vote on it that night. I'm not overly optimistic that we can do that, because I think if we had $8,000, I would say we should have offered the Mandarin Chinese course or something else. So, at this point, I think that's gonna be unlikely. Finance planning team, it really was just a recap of the year. We're in good shape. I think the auto excise tax was higher than expected. They've collected a lot of back taxes owed on property taxes, and it was a pretty positive meeting in terms of the revenues. I think is there something we got a little bit less? Oh, there was an issue with the county retirement board. We actually owed them more than we had expected. And then there was an issue with Chapter 90 road funds, where the town is going to get less money than expected from the state for the road funds. So the town may have to borrow more money to compensate for the less money coming in.
Or do less work.
Or do less road work, right. So those are the two things there. I don't think we have any other.
I have an item that just came back to my mind. It's kind of been languishing there for a couple of months. This is the 300th anniversary of North Reading. And it's something being celebrated by the Historic Society for the whole year. And I've been asked a couple of times to bring it to the committee to see if maybe we could do something during the year, some sort of an event around the school system to sort of recognize that is an event.
I could see some interesting, I don't know how it would fit into the new curriculum, but
I don't know
obviously
either.
there'd be some interesting things that kids would probably be fascinated studying about in terms of the town they live in. And so it's 300 years ago it was established. We're a part of Reading though, right?
Yeah,
So
we're still part of Reading.
right. That's interesting. Kathy, is that something you can look into and see?
Actually, I, last September contacted, I'm sorry, her name escapes me at this
Pat
particular
Romeo?
time. No,
No?
nobody on the Historic
Oh.
Commission. About what was planned for the celebration. And I
Didn't hear back.
didn't.
I think they've had some difficulty in getting traction with it. 300 years is a long time. People today,
Are
I think-
alive now.
Well, no, and the
They
people
used to be there.
from then are
People
so
that I don't
slow,
remember
right?
that much about
They're
it.
so slow. I
Yeah,
know
but, yeah,
exactly.
It's a tercentennial.
Yes.
you know, 300, it's hard for me to remember that.
I know you were there, but it's hard to remember that.
Yeah,
Right?
that's right.
Jeez.
Tertiary.
So you can look into it, right? Okay, thanks, Cliff. We'll look into seeing if there's some things we can do with that. It would be interesting to see what was school like in North Reading
Is it now?
300 years ago or 295 years
I
ago.
think-
Or,
I think
I
it was.
think Steve Jervy was on the school committee.
Was
then.
Steve Jervy on the committee back
Steve
then?
was on there.
yeah, Steve was on the committee. That's
He
right.
was on the school committee.
And David was superintendent, I think.
I was wondering, one of my questions was, what has been planned? Because if it's a parade or if it's a place where people are going to go to look at things, there's different kinds of displays that you would create within
Right.
a school to be able to then showcase.
We could have a
So
school
I-
float.
I was curious
yeah.
as to what was planned by the town, and then we would respond.
I
So
don't-
that's what I was waiting to hear.
I'm not quite sure something has been planned by the town. I think that the Historic Commission has been trying to get traction within
Okay.
the town with some other groups besides themselves.
Okay.
Why don't you keep us up to date on anything if they do plan anything specific, and you can regularly
If
report
I-
on what's.
If I hear any more on
Okay.
it, I'll keep it up.
Great.
We did have an evaluation subcommittee meeting today, and Janine, Kathy, and I talked about, we actually did some pre-planning for our goals session in August, and that was the bulk of our meeting on that.
Thank you for meeting.
We have August 14th, Finance Planning Team is the next meeting on the agenda. Most of the subcommittees go on hiatus during the summer. Future business, we have our next meeting is Monday, July 29th, our goals meeting on August 7th, our goals workshop, and then the next regularly scheduled meeting after that is Monday, August 26th. I did want to quickly raise one thing. Just it was an interesting email I got from Glenn Kuchar, Cliff Parsar too, regarding the U.S. Department of Education is inviting states to delay the implementation of the Common Core Curriculum Program and the PARCC testing system. I don't know what PARCC stands for.
Park.
States will need to request the right to delay, and U.S. DOE will subsequently need to approve it. This is in response to broad concern that Common Core and Park are being implemented too quickly and that many states do not yet have the capacity to make this work yet. For example, and this wouldn't apply to us, I don't think, if tests must be implemented electronically under the Park system, how do you comply if your district doesn't have access to fast internet access? Actually, that would affect
It
our
does
system.
affect us.
We have some classrooms where it would work, but other classrooms where it wouldn't work,
That's
right?
correct.
In some parts of Massachusetts, wireless internet service is not even available.
Mhm.
So, we'll just keep an eye on this. I know our Commissioner of Education is playing a big role in the implementation of Common Core, but
He's the chair of the Park Committee for the country,
not the Park Committee, but the Park
PARCC.
PRCC Committee, right?
Yeah, it should
Because Marty Tilton or Rita,
Oh,
It
There-
should be PARCK Park, right?
right?
Well,
No, So that was it. Unless there's any other items to discuss, I will take a motion to go into executive session.
Mr. Chairman, move to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing the superintendent's contract and return to open session for the purpose of voting for that contract.
You have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Oh, Mr. Venezia?
Aye.
Mr.
Aye.
Bowers? Mr. Ricchetti?
Aye.
Janine? Chair votes aye. This should be quick.
Okay.
If you want to hang around, or you can have
No.
Kathy call you tomorrow.
cable's out around the town.
Well, I mean, not the whole town, but
I know, huh?
our rating is going to be way down.
We have an antenna. You know what goes on?
So you ready, Phil? Okay. All right, so we've returned from executive session into public session. We just had a discussion related to the superintendent's salary for next year. The superintendent has a contract in place. After completing this week, it will have 2 years remaining. What we've discussed and will vote on is a new contract for the superintendent that, as we've done since at the end of her first year when Mr. Venezia initiated this, we will add a year to her contract. So after this year ends, she will still have a 3-year contract. A 2% cost of living increase. A increased cumulated sick days from a maximum of 45 to a maximum of 90. And to make that clear, there's no sick leave buyback there. She can accumulate those days and use them for sick leave purposes, but there's no buyback at the end of the contract. And then the last item is she currently has a clause in her contract where she can accumulate unused vacation days up to 25, and if she leaves employment at the expiration of her contract or decides to leave at any other time with proper notice, she can get paid for up to 25 unused vacation days.
She can accumulate them up to 35.
Right, but she
she'll
get
only be
paid,
able to
right.
Get paid for 25.
And the contract that we'll vote on tonight would increase that number from 25 days to 30 days. So do we have any questions or discussions?
I'd move to
Motion.
approve as just stated by the chairman.
Second?
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous?
Thank you very much. I appreciate all of the support of the school committee. It truly is a pleasure working in this town. I really have nothing but good things to say about, of course, our students, the staff, the faculty, and the administration. So
And the
again,
school committee.
and the school committee. I appreciate. You didn't let me finish.
It was a separate sentence.
I know,
coming.
there was going to be a
There
big,
was a separate
there was going to be a
sentence
big
coming.
finale, Jerry. You blew it.
Forget it.
committed.
Thank you.
And
No,
with
you're
that,
supposed to say, and particularly Jerry Venezia.
right,
We
particularly
really
Mr.
appreciate
Most
Venezia.
of all.
Right, Mr. Venezia. And since we probably can't come and watch the Bruins, hang around. So at this point, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second by Janine. Motion by Cliff, second by Janine. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Good night.
Run away.